Welcome to eHealth Learning, inspiring professionals worldwide.
This is probably something you've seen a lot, right? And I just accidentally turned that, sorry. There we go. You've seen like flexion should be somewhere between 45 or so. Extension should be like 45, 55. And then you've said, okay, rotation should be like 80 to each direction. You've seen these arbitrary numbers, right? And the lateral flexion should be 45, 45. So in ID, we go a little bit deeper than that. Because to us, it's like, well, how are they getting it? Even this demo of this picture, I use this on purpose because this is completely dysfunctional to us in ID. Like this guy is keeping the cervical spine in extension as he goes into flexion, which is a pathology to us. Flexion means you're having to give up some of the lordosis in order to achieve your ability to tuck your chin to your chest. And you shouldn't have to move the thorax to do it, right? You should be able just to bring the chin down to the chest at a relative, 55-degree motion. So for us, instead of using numbers, which we never do in ID, we just say, hey, how was the load share? And how did the person achieve their chin to chest position? Was it all on one spot? Did they keep the cervical spine in extension like this pathological guy? Or were they able to load share? Rotation, we don't assess at all, really. We skip that piece. You can do it. I just think it confuses people. So we skip to this one, which is lateral flexion. So lateral flexion should be happening not at the entirety of the neck. It happens on two spots. It happens on C2 and C6. Now, for the people that are listening, why C2 and C6? Well, those are the two functional segments, right? C0, C1, C2 moves as one big unit at C2 for a lateral flexion moment of the upper cervical spine. And then the articular pillars have those uncovertebral joints limiting translation. So we're not doing this at each segment, right? Instead, we have that inhibition of our ability to translate from C3 to C6, and we're going to dump as one big unit over C6. So you should get your 45 degrees of lateral flexion through C2 and C6. But as you'll see in one of our case studies, that doesn't happen all the time. And that's what you got to look for. Don't look for the 45. Look how the 45 is achieved. Because some of your people that have like upper cervical spinal instability, they won't move at that segment. You know what they'll do? They'll move 50, 60 degrees down at one segment. So they'll come to me not only with vertigo, head symptoms, but they'll come to me with brachial plexopathy because they're bending all on one spot, occluding the nerves from going out of their respective foramen to get down underneath the clavicle. And so that's where the fun starts, when you start seeing like changes in grip findings along with people that have headaches or whiplash, or understanding that lateral flexion to us in ID is a major assessment. And if you don't understand the anatomy of how it moves, then you might pass someone off and say, oh, they have 45 degrees, they're good to go. But how did they get the 45? Did they get it from two separate segments, or did they get it all on one piece?